Look at all the pilgrims. A bunch of them came in a group yesterday where a number of people are following the live stream, so I'm not sure if that triggered some of the presence there this morning. It's interesting to see so many people coming out for sunrise. We learn so much from nature because it's God's creation. And when you see a piece of work well done, you say, wow, that's a great worksperson, workman, workwoman, tradesman, tradeswoman. They know how to do it. They know how to do it right. They're all excited getting their pictures. Memorable moments at the Sea of Galilee for pilgrims. Oh, they're holding up the sun in their arm, I'm sure, there, in their hand. Last night I was at a wedding. Well, actually, it wasn't a wedding. It was the party for the bride. A Muslim event. And the girl works here in our restaurant and is very kind, has a wonderful relationship with all the guests and with all the staff. So people were very happy to go to her wedding. It was also interesting to see the customs of other peoples. And then after, later in the evening, the groom arrived, carried shoulder aloft with maybe 50 or 60 young men, and they were coming quite loudly, clapping their hands and taking their time as they came in. It was extraordinary joy. Again, we see the kingdom of heaven is like a wedding feast. All these natural realities that God created just mean so much because they actually mean so much. They mean so much. There's so much meaning in all of creation, so much love, so much gift. Gosh, I think it was the middle of the day. There's so many people out here. There's so much meaning in a little plant. So much revelation of an incredible creator. Awesome. Now these people are speaking a language I don't know. They might be speaking Tagalog. They look like Filipinos, from Asian. And it's interesting, Jesus was a carpenter, and there are a number of similes and metaphors about the spiritual life, about building on rock. And then he's working with fishermen, and we have lots of stories here in the Sea of Galilee, even taking a coin out of the mouth of a fish. Here we have somebody in a quieter mood. Hello, sorry for disturbing your quiet. She heard me. So then, but actually there are a lot of images from farming. And it's not that Jesus wouldn't know anything about farming because he was a carpenter. Because everybody in a little village like Nazareth, imagine Nazareth, it had a couple of dozen homes. And so everybody around probably had their own little goat for some milk. They had their own sheep for some wool. They had their own, good morning. They had their own, they made their own cheese probably. They were self-sufficient. We had neighbors when I was a child, and I'm not sure how much they bought. They probably bought some clothes, although they also made their own clothes with wool. They were able to weave the wool, to spin it and to and to weave it and to make cloth. And they had to buy tobacco because that didn't grow in Ireland. And then they had to buy nails and wire. They weren't able to make that in the farms in Ireland. But actually, when I was a child, a lot of the tying was done even of hay. I still remember making the rope out of hay to tie down the trams of hay. Wow, this guy's doing business here. So he's the guy who does the, what's it called, flyboarding, where you get up on gear and you're like walking above the water level on a platform. Maybe we'll see some of this still. If we do, it'll be a nice thing as well for Instagram, for the Instagram community. So it's interesting, today we have the parable of the seed falling in the ground, the different types of ground. And such a rich parable about the spiritual life and about issues that compromise good growth. Like here we have tons of weeds. So if there was anything good sown here, you remember that tomato plant we had there a long time ago? It's still there actually. Look at it, it's in flower. Interesting. That's the tomato plant, right? I'm pretty sure that's it. But what chance will a plant have in all this growth? Like a vegetable be smothered. And how our life of friendship with God can be smothered by so many weeds. And then our responsibility to take care of our garden, to take care of our soil. Soil can be exhausted, needs tending, erosion, needs replenishing, fertilizing of the good kind. The treasure of the soil. And that becomes then an image for our soul. The way we tend and cultivate our soul so that God's word can sprout and grow. What I find fascinating this morning is the first reading. You know, this whole struggle with trying to grasp the resurrection and what it means and how it works and what it's up to. It's amazing. And Paul uses the image of a grain falling in the ground. And, you know, like there was a little seed for one of these trees. And the seed doesn't look like the tree. And it produces a tree. A carrot seed doesn't look like a carrot, and it produces a carrot. And an apple seed doesn't look like an apple tree, and it produces an apple tree. So he's saying, learn from that. Don't try to figure out how our body is going to be. You can try to figure out, but don't lose sleep over it, how our body will be in the resurrection. How will our body be in the resurrection? Well, it might be as different from our body today as an oak tree is from a seed, but there's total continuity. So what we sow in this life reaps a bounty that we can't even imagine. Eye has not seen, ear has not held what the Lord has prepared for those who love him. So there's that whole delight of created things we have here for our eyes, our ears, our touch, our taste, our smell. And there's a whole reality beyond that at another level. The difference between that light on the water and going to the furnace of that light in the sun, 93 million miles away. And the taste of goodness we have here and going to the source of it with God. And the marvel he created the human body to be. And what we know is Jesus came back with his resurrected body, his glorious body, also glimpsed for a moment in the transfiguration. And he had his wounds, and there were wounds of revelation of love. What our resurrection will be like. So Paul is saying, don't get caught up in a reasoning that's not taking into account all the lessons we have from nature. Jesus is saying, look at the ground. Don't get, learn from it. Be wise. Learn from the gifts of nature, from all the gifts inside of nature, for all the process of nature, because that's a language God is giving us. It's like an ABC. Right now I'm trying to make a little progress with Arabic, and there's so many exercises, and it's testing and trying to do this exercise, but little by little it grows. We have to start learning the vocabulary. We have to learn the letters, how they're written, learn the letters of reality from nature, about pruning the tree and it bears more fruit. These two readings today, besides the concrete lessons each have an overall gift for us also to awaken to the gift of nature, to the gift of God's creation. It's not separate from his redemption. He redeemed this world. And there's just so much for us there. People, God bless you. All these people here, it's amazing. I don't know which group this is. Maybe there were a new group who arrived yesterday, and because of the wedding last evening, I missed them. How wonderful. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators. It's great to be with you every morning. Thanks for all the nice comments yesterday.